Hello, BookTube. I did a morning mail haul, and I asked at the time if I am, in fact, a vlogger. I've always wondered this, and all the time that I've been doing this, I make videos every day, almost every day, and I love doing it. But does that make me a vlogger, or do I have to do other things? Of course, a lot of you saw that video, and I've been getting lots of sassy emails about what constitutes a vlogger. Apparently, a lot of you watch a lot of vloggers and aren't particularly happy with what you're watching. And also, a lot of you are sassier in the morning than you are in the evening. I don't know what that is. Is that some wacky diet regimen, this intermittent sassing that I've heard all about? But one way or another, I was told that in order to be a vlogger, I have to refer to you all as fam, which is short for family, even though in Irish Catholic South Boston, that's pretty much a term of contempt. I was told that I have to come up with a collective name for you, even though you're all completely different people and we hardly agree on anything. I think the collective name we should probably use is Donoghue-gonauts. I was told that I have to give you that name because I'm going to assume that you're going to invest a large part of your personal identity in this channel, when, as you know from watching this channel, if anything is true, it's the opposite. I need you a lot more than you need me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut it as a vlogger, but nevertheless, there's still more mail. So whether I am or not, I thought we'd go through these. No boxes this time around, but we'll see if this mail haul is as just downright weird as the last one was. So let's see what this first one is. This is from the folks at Grove Atlantic. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay, this is, yes, this came out last year. I really liked it. I wish I'd paid more attention to it last year. I don't think I even reviewed it, so I will not be blurbed on this thing at all. No, but they wouldn't have used me anyway, because the New York Times Book Review reviewed it and liked it. So, this is the paperback of Takis Verger's The Club. It's, I really liked it. Let's see here. This is the author's debut. I believe that Grove Atlantic is positioning it as adult fiction. This is the this will be. I will reread this gladly, and this will be another brick in the wall of an ongoing BookTube event, a BookTube challenge. I mean to do a separate video on it, just to draw your attention to it instead of mentioning it in parentheses and in a bunch of different videos. But Mel, from Mel's Bookland Adventure, and Britta are doing all year long a challenge to increase the number of books of German literature that you read. In translation is just fine, and it doesn't have to be canonical. There's plenty of the German canon that people should read more of. And I love it. I love the idea. And as soon as I saw it, I had the same first reaction that I had with another great reading challenge going on throughout 2020. Alan Moreton's Chunksters for Charity Challenge, where you donate a certain amount of money to Book Aid International for every book of 800 pages or more that you read in the course of the year. And when I saw his challenge, my first reaction was, well, that is great, and I mean to second it. It's a great cause, but I won't need to make much of a TBR on my own because the publishing world will provide me with Chunksters. And I had the exact same reaction when I watched the announcement videos for Mel and for Britta, and my first reaction was, well, it's a great idea, but I won't need to go much out of my way. The publishing industry will give me all that I need in terms of German literature, and this is a perfect example. The pub sheet here tells me, for the paperback, tells me that this person is one of Germany's most highly regarded young writers. And this book is an invitation into a world behind closed doors, one of long-held secrets, hallowed history, and toxic behavior set around an elite all-male dining club at Cambridge University. Shielded for centuries by the privilege and power of its members, the Pit Club has long reveled in decadence, debauchery, and violence. But when Hans Stickler, guided by his Aunt Alex, an art history professor, begins to infiltrate the glamorous and shadowy organization to help her uncover a dark secret at its heart, the stakes of his deception rise. As Hans makes his best efforts to prove club material in other words, to merit inclusion, and to infiltrate its ranks, he falls in love with fellow student named Charlotte, and he's tempted by a potential new life of upper-class sophistication. And now I'm wondering, does this actually count? Is this translated? Yeah, okay, this is translated from the German by Charlotte Collins. So this counts for my year of German literature. So I'm up to like 3 or 4 books now. And if I remember, I'm terrible about this. I have mentioned Alan Moreton's challenge many times in this week, and I've said every time that I would link to his original video. I haven't done it. And I will link to Britta and to Mel, because this is another thing that might interest you. It's certainly fun to do. All right, so we're off to a fine start here. Let's see here. What is this next one? Okay, this is historical fiction, Nazi era historical fiction. This is by Janelle Siselski, and it is The Socialite. As she is looking over Paris. Based loosely on the real-life Mitford sisters with an added dash of romance and intrigue. Huh. Let's see. The author has received 2 starred reviews from Publishers Weekly for previous novels. That's no easy thing to do. Publishers Weekly, Kirkus, and Library Journal, they try to review pretty much everything at 300 words apiece. But it's even indie authors. Indie authors can pay a certain amount of money to put their book on the review roster for Kirkus, or for the indie branch of Kirkus, for the indie branch of Publishers Weekly. And I imagine that money passes hands from publishers to those institutions as well, mainstream publishers to those institutions as well. But if Publishers Weekly and Library Journal are anything like Kirkus, then their line will be the same to everybody, to one and all, which is that the money is to pay them to notice the book, not to praise it. You are not buying a positive review. Not all the money in the world is worth that. So to get any starred review is quite the thing. Starred reviews are left entirely in the purview of the reviewer. There are people I know who have been writing for one of those industry journals, one or another of them, for years without ever giving a star review to a book. And I myself write review often for Kirkus, and I hardly ever, months go by without me even thinking to give a star review to a book. It has to wow me, and that the wowing is, for me, is the exact same scale. I don't have a different scale for the indie branch. I don't have a different scale for self-published or subsidy published. No. That would defeat the whole purpose now, wouldn't it? Now the book has to wow me in order to get a star review, and I think a lot of critics are probably like that. And this author has had 2. So what do we have here? This comes out in April. As the daughter of Sir Alfred Whitford, Kat has a certain set of responsibilities, but chasing her wayward sister Ellie to Nazi-occupied Paris was never supposed to be one of them. Now accustomed to the luxurious lifestyle that her Nazi boyfriend provides. Always a bad idea. It's always going to come back to bite you. Ellie has no intention of going back to the shackled life her parents dictate for them, but Kat will stop at nothing to bring her sister home. Okay. All right. Okay, fine. So the sell sheet here is a little bit obscured. Okay, this comes out in mid-April. Good. But I don't have to rely on the sell sheet. It was misprinted. All right, so mid-April for that. A historical novel loosely based on 2 of the Mitford sisters. Then let's see. What is this next one? This comes out in late March from Yale University Press. I don't have anything to show you because it's. I just have a blank advanced copy here. But this is A Way of Life, Things, Thought, and Action in Chinese Medicine by Judith Farquhar. I don't know why I'm showing you that. It's not going to look like that in your bookstore. I don't have any idea why I did that. Traditional Chinese medicine is often viewed as mystical or superstitious, with outcomes requiring naive faith. That is entirely true. That opening sentence is entirely true. It's not just true of traditional Chinese medicine, it's true of any traditional medicine. How much do you want to make a bet that comment of mine has caused howls of protest out there among the Donoghue-gonauts? And how much do you want to make a bet that this pub sheet is now going to contradict that statement? It's going to say there's a lot to it. Judith Farquhar, drawing on her hard-won knowledge of social, intellectual, and clinical worlds in today's China, here offers a concise and nuanced treatment that addresses enduring and troublesome ontological, epistemological, and ethical questions. In this work, which is based on her 2017 lecture, Reality, Reason, and Action in and Beyond Chinese Medicine, she considers how the modern, rationalized, and scientific field of traditional Chinese medicine constructs its very real objects, bodies, symptoms, drugs. Add in surgery, and you have the whole world of medicine. Bodies, symptoms, drugs, surgery. You add in those 4 things, and you have the whole of modern medicine. You add anything else in, you're adding in bunkum. Potentially to damage people, potentially dangerous to people if they can't afford any of the 4 things I mentioned, but they can afford the bunkum. Anyway, let's see. How experts think through and sort out pathology and health, and how contemporary doctors act responsibly to seek out the root of bodily disorder. Through this refined investigation, East-West contrasts collapse, and systemic Chinese medicine, no longer a mystery or a pseudoscience, can become a philosophical ally and a rich source of more capacious science. It can become a philosophical ally. Absolutely. It can be indispensable for that. Philosophical allies are indispensable for the practice of medicine. Because, as any medical practitioner will tell you, your mood and your outlook on life can mean a lot. They can sometimes make the difference between life and death, but not on a medical basis. So okay, if this book, it's not a long thing, I'll be able to gulp it down in one sitting. But if it says that Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, can be an ally to, what was it again? Bodies, symptoms, and drugs. And surgery. So I'm adding surgery. If the book is saying that it can be an ally to those things, then more power to it. Absolutely. Whatever makes a patient not only feel calmer, wary is just the devil, it's just the devil, but also, in addition to feeling calmer, whatever makes the patient step back and take a bigger look at their life. Take a look at, if you have, for instance, chronic health problems, are you making them worse? Not only by your life outlook, but by the things you do in your life. That is very valuable. And any philosophical, personal, ethical, religious, any system like that helps you do that, I'm all for. I don't mean to come bashing down on the Chinese. But let's see. It's all good. Okay. All right. This next one is a late February release. Wonderful. All right. This is from Harlequin. And Steve approves of the cover. so this is Cottage at the Beach by Lee Tobin McLean, which features an absolutely beautiful little girl. Oh my God, she's probably 1.5 years old. She's so adorable. Look at that face. Look at that there are 2 humans in the picture as well, but who cares? So what have we got here? Okay, this is the author. I wonder if I still have it here. I could just grab it and show it to you. This author did a book that we saw on this channel, Low Country Hero, which I ended up really, really liking. A contemporary romance that I really, really liked. This makes me think of Sarah. It's steeped in books. You've heard me mention her on this channel many times. She's a fellow booktuber. She has an absolutely fantastic channel, all dedicated to romance. She's such a fantastic advocate of romance, and yet a stern judge. She's not just a cheerleader. So romances can very much screw up, and if they do, she calls them on it. But she just had a personal tragedy. Her father died. She made a video announcing it, and my hat was off to her at having the sheer grit to hold it together long enough to make a video and tell. It's I understand why she did it. She's just a heart of gold. She did it for her subscribers who would want to know what happened to her, where she's been. She did it for other people, but still, what an act of strength. I'll leave a link. If I remember, I'll leave a link to that video so you can go and give her your best. But I'm wondering now, I'm trying to remember if she also saw and maybe read Low Country Hero. But anyway, this is, let's see here. This comes out in March. And this is, Cottage at the Beach is the beginning of a brand new series. A small town contemporary romance filled with second chances, hope, and several adorable dogs. Canine officer Trey Harrison will do anything to avoid a desk job after an injury forces him into the sidelines, including volunteering with teenagers in a small waterfront community. His boss may be pleased, but no one said Terry had to do it with a smile. Schoolteacher Erica Rowe threw herself into work with at-risk teens after a surgery left her infertile. So they're both coming to this thing without ever having planned to do that. It hasn't been their life's goal. The last thing she needs is a sullen cop putting the program's future in jeopardy. But watching him connect with her students made her heart melt, only for it to break when he admits he wants children of his own. Even though she's convinced he's better off with someone who can give him everything, she can't shake the part of her that's hoping maybe, just maybe, love is enough. Okay, so the author. There's the author. That is one heck of a winning author photo. No pretentious brooding. Let's see here. Best-selling author Lee Tobin McLean watched Dr. Zhivago way too young and developed a lifelong passion for angsty romance. Oh, well, okay. There's more to Dr. Zhivago than that. When she was not writing, she's probably FaceTiming with her college-age daughter, mediating battles between her goofy golden doodle and her rescue cat, or teaching aspiring writers in Seton Hill University's MFA program. She's probably not cleaning her house. Okay, you know she wrote that. And now I want to join her writing group. I want to join her MFA program because I bet she has a lot of fun stuff to say. Okay, all right. This comes out in late February. Why did I say March? Oh, because the pub sheet says March. So this comes out in February 25th, basically March. Okay, so they're probably shooting for the first Tuesday in March. Okay, great. Fantastic. So I have a new series to start, and it's right around the corner, so I can get right to it. Fantastic. Always nice to get romance in there. So let's see. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, I mean good. I mean good. I mean very good. Excellent. This is another slim volume of poetry, also from FSG. So we have lots of poetry to go over on Poetry Tuesdays. I must stop ignoring Poetry Tuesday. I want to sample these poetry volumes that we're getting in the mail. So this one is called Survival is a Style by Christian Wyman. The name is awful familiar to me. The name is awful familiar. The author, editor, and translator of 12 books of poetry and prose, including 2 memoirs. My Bright Abyss, Meditations of a Modern Believer, and he held Radical Light, The Art of Faith, The Faith of Art. Oh, he held Radical Light. Is that ringing a bell with poor senescent old Steve? Is this Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse? Is this an author he really likes? He's sending this out to the wilds of the West. He teaches religion and literature at Yale University of Sacred Music and at Yale Divinity School. Yeah, one of you loves this person. And I think it might be Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, in which case this is going to have to go winging out to him right away. Okay, well, this comes out in early February. Fantastic. A slim volume of poetry that is loved by one of you more than it is me. I'll have to. I don't know if Jason watches my videos, so I'll have to see if I can get in touch with him and see if that is indeed. All right. So what is this next one? Oh, okay. I think we saw an advance copy of this. This is a date. Do we have a date? Early February. Okay, early February. This is The Lost Book of Adana Moreau by Michael Zapata. I think we saw this already. And this is a debut novel. It begins in 1916 with the death of Adana's parents, peasant Gavieros, at the hands of American Marines. She flees first to Santo Domingo and then to New Orleans, where she marries a pirate. They have a son, Maxwell, prone to long, wandering walks at an early age, but she notices he stays still with a book in front of him. And then she writes her own science fiction hit, Lost City, successful enough to demand a follow-up. It is this manuscript, A Model Earth, that she and Maxwell destroy shortly before Adana's death. How this book ends up with Saul Drover in Chicago decades later is what drives this exceptional tale of orphans and train jumping, zombies and the multiverse, loneliness, and the often invisible dual lives people of color lead within their own communities. Also sounds like it's going to be a lot about books and writing. In this book, the author braids together 2 rich storytelling traditions, drawing on Jewish folklore and Latin American oral tradition, as well as 20th century histories of rebellion and survival. Okay, who is Michael Zapata when he's at home? He is a founding editor of the award-winning Make literary magazine. He is the recipient of an Illinois Arts Council Award for fiction, the City of Chicago DCASE Individual Artist Program Award, and a Pushcart nomination. None of those things are easy to get. That's fantastic. He has advocates who've seen his work and think he's brilliant. As an educator, he taught literature and writing in high schools servicing dropout students. He's a graduate of the University of Iowa, in Iowa City, Iowa, on the banks of the Iowa River, and has lived in New Orleans, Italy, and Ecuador. He currently lives in Chicago with his family. It sounds like he and I could talk until the wee small hours over bottles of wine. We have tracked a lot of the same territory. Hell, one evening alone would be necessary just for the University of Iowa. Okay. All right, great. Well, this comes out in early February. And of course, he will be at Prairie Lights in Boston. Oh, but he's coming to Boston. He'll be at Prairie Lights is the incredible destination-worthy independent bookstore in Iowa City, and of course, he's going to do an event there. But he's also coming to Boston. He's coming to Boston in April. Wow. All right. Great. So early February. Prairie Lights was, of course, when I was in Iowa City, I wanted to work at Prairie Lights, however briefly. I wanted to work at Prairie Lights. And they had at the time an unconventional application system. I don't know if they still do. But at the time, in addition to all the normal stuff, you also had to tell them about your 10 favorite books. And being the dew-speckled, naive young thing that I was, I did. I told them about my 10 favorite books. And years later, they didn't hire me. They never even called me back. And years later, someone who worked at Prairie Lights said, "Oh, well, I know why they didn't take you, because they assumed you were lying. They assumed you were sucking up to them because all 10 of the books on your list were all classics of the ancient world, classics of ancient Greece and Rome. So they assumed you were just trying to look smart, and that they weeded you out because of that." I guess I should have said Kerouac or something like that, but I was telling the truth. It didn't stop me from shopping there. But anyway, now we have this last one, and then we'll be done with our second vlog entry for today, reader fam, fellow Huguenots, Huguenots. Fantastic. Oh no. I think we saw this already on this channel. Boy, I don't mind having a double, though, that's for sure. This is tremendously ambitious. I don't have a sheet for it here, but I believe it's a January release, late January. I think we've seen it already. This is by Magda Teeter, and this is Blood Libel, on the trail of an anti-Semitic myth. And this is about, this is from Harvard University Press. No, I don't have anything in here. Well, I'll just read it to you, because some of you may not have seen the original one. And I think I've dipped into it, but I haven't read it yet, and I think it's going to be well worth your time. Accusations that Jews ritually killed Christian children emerged in the mid-12th century, following the death of 12-year-old William of Norwich, the subject of an entire book a few years ago, very good book, in England, of William of Norwich, England, in 1144. Later, continental Europeans added a destructive twist. Jews murdered Christian children to use their blood. While charges that Jews poisoned wells and desecrated communion hosts waned over the years, the blood libel survived. Initially, blood libel stories were confined to monastic chronicles and local lore, but the development of the printing press in the mid-15th century expanded the audience and crystallized the vocabulary, images, and facts of the blood libel, providing a lasting template for hate. Tales of Jews killing Christians, notably Simon of Trent, a toddler whose body was found under a Jewish house in 1475, were widely disseminated using the new technology. Following the paper trail across Europe, from England to Italy to Poland, the author shows how the blood libel was internalized and how Jews and Christians dealt with the repercussions. And I read a chunk of this, enough to know that it's just first rate. But I haven't read the whole thing. I haven't dug into all the nuts and bolts, all down deep into the sources and secondary sources, and I want to do that. So I'm glad I have this. I don't. This is going to be really hard to do. This is going to be really hard to spelunk down in here. But I want to review it, and I want my review to do it justice. It's a big thing, so I want my review to do it justice. So, who is the author? The author, Magda Teeter, is professor of history and Schfidler Chair of Judaic Studies at Fordham University. She's author of 2 previous books: Sinners on Trial, Jews and Sacrilege After the Reformation, and Jews and Heretics in Catholic Poland. and she's received fellowships from the John Simon Guggenheim and Harry Frank Guggenheim Foundations, and was a Mellon Foundation Fellow at Cullman Center in New York Public Library. And this, I don't know, the chunk that I read led me to, I think I recommended it to some of you. I think it's popped up in a video before, and I think I recommended it to you. And I am sure that the rest of the book is going to be commensurately brilliant, but really tough to get through. Really, really tough. I've got some tough. I should do this weekend. I've got some tough books lined up already. This is, well, you know, you take the tough ones with the small town romances. Wow. Okay, so this is heavily illustrated as well. Okay, well, the thing that struck me about the two things that struck me about it, the chunk that I read was one, that the author has not just satisfied herself with writing a totally comprehensive study of this horrible phenomenon, but has also then polished the manuscript to make it readable, to make it involving page-turning reading. Not every scholar does that. And two, that the chunk that I read, first I got that impression, and the second impression I got from the chunk that I read is that this is probably going to be just about as definitive a study of this as has appeared ever in English. So, but one way or another, I should get to it right away. I haven't. I'll have to do that. All right. So, well. All right. So once again, we are bounced all over creation. We have Blood Libel from Harvard University Press. Great big thing. Then The Lost Book of Adana Moreau. But was it lost? It sounds like the son remembers destroying the manuscript with his mother. So how did someone in Chicago get it years later? And then Survival is a Style by Christian Wyman. Sounds like a Christian scholar. And then A Way of Life by Judith Farquhar. This is, I don't have a cover for you, but this comes out in May, and it's about Chinese medicine, a study of Chinese medicine. Then The Socialite, a fictionalized version of the infamous Mitford sister who went over to the Nazis. The Club in paperback in an English language translation, and Cottage at the Beach by Lee Tobin McLean, the author of Low Country Hero. So there you go. That is our next installment, all over the map in terms of emotional resonance. And I'm going to wrap up this vlog entry for now, but I'll probably be vlogging again today. Who knows? Either way, I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.